Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Content Crowd. I'm your host, Trevor Grimes. And if you've never been here before, The Content Crowd is a show where we like to explore what makes content resonate, from creative habits to point of view shifts to behind the scenes breakdowns, so that listeners and also me can stop mimicking others and start making something that actually matters. And I like to start every episode by reminding you guys that this show is sponsored by Scrappy ABM. Scrappy ABM helps you build repeatable account-based marketing plays and actually teaches you how to own them so that you can graduate, so to speak, and bring ABM in-house when you're ready. Today is a very special episode because this is a completely different episode or different interview than anyone that I've done in the past. And this is not to make my guest feel any pressure. But what I'm really trying to do is bridge two worlds, because if you've listened to the show or you've just listened to my solo episodes, we're always talking about creating content in the sense of like a B2B or like a strictly like business world. And I want to help B2B content creators sort of look outside of their echo chamber and borrow from like more raw initiative and like emotionally grounded approach from someone like my guest today, who is Wanda from the Wanda Band. Hi, Wanda. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here. I mean, how crazy is it that your name is Wanda and you became part of a band called the Wanda Band? Like how, like what is
It's a total coincidence,
Yeah, yeah.
really.
You're just like, there's auditions for the Wanda Band. You're like, dude, my name is Wanda. Like,
Exactly. No, it actually wasn't even my idea to call it Wanda. It was Nick's idea, our drummer.
yeah,
He's like, let's just call it Wanda.
yeah.
And it turns out that there is an Austrian band called Wanda, and so legally we had to change our name.
To the
Or
Wanda
we
Band.
could have legally gone by Wanda USA, but I didn't really want to give that impression, so
Yeah, yeah. No,
we
that's, I
changed it to the
mean,
Wanda Band. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you have such a, I mean, that's such a great name to name like a band or just to name anything. Like, and it flows so well, like the Wanda Band. And you also have the Wanda Van. Like, that's also, and for anybody who is not local that doesn't know what the Wanda Van is, I'll let you describe it, because it's sort of like a local, like not landmark. It's kind of like a moving landmark, I guess is what we would say.
Yeah, my whole thing was I wanted to kind of drive the Oscar Mayer Wiener mobile.
Yeah.
But at the time when I was looking into that gig, it turns out you had to be a marketing intern at
Oh,
a
that's boring.
university. Like you had to be like a senior in college. Like there were all these criterias, like whatever. And I was like, well, dang, I'm just gonna like create my own. You know what I mean? My own
Yeah.
little vehicle. Because I've always found that to be just such a very interesting use of free will, is to
Yeah.
like, you know, mark your vehicle and advertise and just
Yeah.
be totally crazy. And I don't know, it's really fun. People follow me sometimes and like honk and like wave and post pictures. It's an
Yeah.
interesting thing. For those of you who don't know, I have a Ford Transit Connect that is painted Wandavan, and on the bottom it says it's just a lot of fun. And I just did that because why not?
Yeah. It's, well, I mean, like you said, first, like such a great use of free will. Um, but also like, I mean, there's branding there. Like you said, people are following you. You know how many pictures of the Wanda, like if I went to like my like iCloud and searched Wanda, like I'd probably have like 10 photos of the band, because like I take photos of it and send it to my family group message. Because my, like, I mean, we all love you, but like my brother and sister-in-law, they both really love you, and they don't live in Huntsville. So I get to be like, guess who I not didn't see, but guess what? I walked by today. I walked by the Wanda van. Or when you're at the coffee shop sometimes and I've seen you, I'm like, guys, Wanda is at the coffee shop right now. Like, aren't you jealous?
First of all, that's very flattering, thank you. But also, I didn't know anybody outside of Huntsville knows about the Wanda Van, much less my music. So I'm very grateful that you're spreading the music to people outside of Huntsville.
I don't know. I definitely. Oh, you know what? I think. Did you play Porch Fest in like 22?
I've played Porch Fest twice, the first year and then I believe the third year.
Okay.
I think you're correct on 2022.
Okay. This is the reason I remember that is because I was about to go on a work trip and had to get my, or maybe it was 21. It was whatever year it was. I was about to go on a work trip and I had to get that, like, my COVID vaccine, and I had my second one that day, and I was very sick at port, like, not very sick, but I had like the flu. I felt like I had the flu at Porch Fest, so I was like
Right.
wrapped up in like a blanket. So our whole family went with us, and I just remember them, um, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, buying your out, like, whatever CD you had at that time for purchase, and just being like, we love Wanda like so much. Like they're just like, so every time I got to be like, guys, I'm pretty cool because I live in the same place. Like I get to, like, see her. I'll go to Gold Sprint, and Wanda will just be like chilling like on her laptop. So
Well, thanks for having me on your podcast.
yeah,
I
sorry,
really
I'm just kind
appreciate
of
it.
like gushing. I haven't had a chance to like ask any questions.
That's okay. Thank you.
Um, yeah, so yeah, so we're talking about like the Wanda Band being like, I'm gonna relate this to everything. So like obviously like there was branding there, but also you talked about like I wanted to do this, but like this I couldn't do this because I didn't meet the certain criteria. So I feel like in a lot of ways, like when you're like there's a like a creative squeeze, so to speak, like that's where like some of the best things comes out. I would say that, like, obviously, like if you were driving the Wienermobile, that's cool, but that like would end at a certain point. Like, but the Wanda van can kind of be
Yeah,
forever, like as long as it works, I guess. I mean, and potentially if you got a new one, you could repaint it. So
absolutely. I definitely,
yeah,
yeah, I feel like, you know, I think that having a vehicle is controversial because a lot of people, like a lot of older folks that I know, will be like, it's just begging to get stolen, you know.
really,
And I'm like, to me, if you're driving the Wanda van and you're not Wanda, then it's wrong. Like, I
yeah,
don't know. Like, I feel like it would be pretty easy, but like some people are like weirded out by the fact that I painted my van. And some people are like, that's awesome. And I'm just like, one time I got a photo of the Wanda van with the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, and that was an amazing moment.
okay,
Check it out on my Wanda van Instagram for those of you watching.
okay,
Um,
okay.
but yeah,
I'll
it's
go
like
check it out because I don't think I've seen that.
it's basically like an advertising method because I'll
Yeah,
make TikToks and I'll mention it, and people will comment and be like, "Hey, I've seen the Wanda van in
yeah,
wherever," and it's so funny. You know, someone stopped me at a gas station recently and was like, "Hey, I know you from TikTok. Like, when's your next show?" You know, and it was wow,
yeah.
that's awesome. I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Well, you also you posted a. I don't know if this was a maybe this was a recent. I don't know if this was a repost or if it was a recent TikTok, but you had Antoine Dotson like chasing you down, right?
That's a true
Like,
story. Is that not insane?
yeah,
I
yeah. I feel like I bring him up occasionally, and people just don't seem to be like they're not really giving him like the credit, because I'm like I know that for us it's local, but like there was a time everybody was like everybody knew who he was at some point, and he's like just here like chilling, and you know I uh I feel like people don't give him the credit he deserves for what he's done.
I for sure agree. And I definitely think that, early virality was also very special in its own way. Because that
Yeah,
was going viral at the same time that, like, 40 million people still tuned in to the same TV show every week on network television. So this was
yeah,
like a moment in time where they were passing the torch, so to speak. Because I don't think
yeah.
that many people will watch network television at once now.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I probably haven't had cable in that sense since then. Like, I think I think that whenever that happened, I mean, maybe I was still living at home with my parents. I think so. As long as I've not lived at home with my parents, I don't have like network television on something, which I do kind of miss that. But also, I don't know like I don't know anybody that sits down every week and like watches one show.
Yeah, I definitely miss that period of media because right now I'm definitely experiencing a taste of it with the ending of Stranger Things and then the
Yeah,
rise of heated rivalry. Everyone's watching these same television shows, but we're all watching them like on demand and then talking about it online. And so it is more intense in a way. I feel like than like I'm talking about this because I just feel like it's very interesting to have lived through the before times essentially and the after times where like almost everything is online now. And it used to be so like, you had to record it on your DVR or you had to, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And like, it was just so much less convenient and just more of a moment that we all shared together. Like, I remember when I was watching like American Idol as a kid, and it literally felt like the world was watching. Or when you're watching elections, like the election results, it feels like the world is watching because they are. You know what I'm saying? Where we're
Yeah.
all doing the same thing and tuning in at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like a sense of like belonging maybe that you're like even though you're not with the other people watching it, but you know that like so many millions of people and you're like whatever emotions you're feeling are like they're like also feeling, and you like especially like I think like American Idol is a good example because I feel like so many people formed like fan bases around certain people, and it was like you didn't binge watch an entire season of that. You saw it one week and you knew what this person went through, and like you had an entire week to like go to school or go to work and like argue with your friends or whoever about like who's the best or who do you like the most or who deserves to make it to the next point. um
Exactly. Yeah, and
yeah,
now it's just like with algorithmic for you pages and curated content that's being fed to you individually, it's very isolating, I feel like, because you can be getting your own specific niche of just content. And
yeah,
you look around and you don't feel united with anybody over like what you're watching. And like low key, that's been kind of what we unite over for a long time, whether it's like
yeah,
sports, theater, like watching concerts, like we're all watching the same thing all at once, and that's what's uniting us. Or we're all watching this television show, but now we're all just watching like what we want or what's being fed to us, and it's so isolating. But at the same time, as creators, I feel like anybody could create their own empire essentially online. You know what I'm saying?
hmm,
Like, I mean, we
yeah,
we make our own stuff. We're trying to engage with people and grow, and we can. But at one point, it just feels like we're throwing darts at a board and never hitting. Sometimes, for me at least. I don't know about you.
yeah. Yeah, no, 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 all the time. Yeah, I mean that's a I mean that is the I mean the plight of any creator who is trying to do something organically. I'll say. I mean, in when we're talking about like the business world, obviously, like you can pay to play for a lot of things. I know that also like that goes into non-business stuff as well. But if you're lucky enough to have something become a hit, so to speak, or like go viral, and then it's like, how do you live up to that next? Like, how do you create something else that also goes the same, or do you hope that enough people came from that one thing? It's like there's a lot of I think one thing that is good to like remember, and I'm just saying this because I have to kind of remind myself this, that like there are going to be people that are like creators who are huge, and then there are going to be people that are creators that are like niche, and maybe only like maybe if I told you like my favorite YouTuber, you don't even know who they are, but I know that there is like a pretty sizable tribe, and that person is like super happy that we're all here. And I think like I don't know, it's good to remember that even a small audience that like loves and appreciate you is like worth it more than trying to get like a million.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I definitely think that chasing virality in general, it can get you followers. I made a goal like last year around September, October. I was like, I want to reach 10K on TikTok by the end of the year. And I think I
Mhm.
reached 12. And then I kind of got bored because I was like, well, I
Yeah,
know like that I can like grow if I really lock in,
yeah,
but like right now it doesn't feel organic to me to do this. And so I reached my goal and then some. I'm going to set it down for now and just post when I feel like it. And I feel like a lot of people would frown upon that and they would say you need to post more and more and more and more and more, which I get. But at the same time, I want people to look at my page and be like, this woman is being herself. And I appreciate that.
yeah,
And I don't want it to be, I don't honestly don't want to be posting all the time. I don't. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but I just think that consistency is key and longevity because I've been doing what I do since I was 14. I'm
Hmm.
30, and I have had periods where I wasn't doing it as much, and I've had periods where I was locked in, and there have been periods where I'm,
Yeah.
playing tons of gigs, way too many, throwing my voice out, traveling all the time, not sleeping, burning myself out. And then there's times when I'm in my house posting constantly for months and I haven't played in
Yeah.
months. And I fluctuate, but I've been showing up for as long as I have. And I've grown
Yeah.
a small following, I would say, of loyal people who come to all my shows, buy all my merch, send pictures of my van in their group chat, look at your family. I'm saying, like, if you can find, like, I think it's like 100 people that will like
Yeah.
always buy your record, then you have a career. And so as far as I'm concerned, I have a career, and I don't see there being any problem with like being a Huntsville local band or a North Alabama local band because
Yeah.
it's interesting that you were talking about how your is it your brother
Oh, my
who lives your
brother-in-law.
brother-in-law who
Yeah.
lives elsewhere.
Uh, yeah. Well, he lives in Moulton, so really he's not too far from you
Right.
or from me, really. But
I'm
yeah, he doesn't get to see you like walking around the street like I do.
right. Well, in Huntsville, it's such a melting pot, and people come from all over. And so the
Yeah.
other thing about Huntsville is people leave also. And so I've
Yeah.
made so many great friends that leave, and it's like, okay, now I've got friends in Seattle, and I've got friends in DC, and I've got friends in Salt Lake City, and I've got friends all over the map now from Huntsville, from just being there. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so you can
Yeah.
kind of grow organically just through word of mouth, I think, if you really like, you know, a lot of people are trying to grow their audience and make it bigger, but I think that it's really important to focus on what you have and making those people happy and creating a dialogue with those people because they really matter in the long run. Because you could be a person who went viral for a song one time in 2021, and now you've
Hmm.
got 300,000 TikTok followers. Or hell, you could have a million TikTok followers. And then you work really hard to put out a record, and then you do, and it flops because everyone forgot who you were, and you look different now because you were a teenager when you went viral. And, and so this label signed you and gave you a bunch of money, and then they dropped you, and now you're devastated, and you can't sell tickets because that happens a lot because it's so like fleeting and really not the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been
Yeah.
trying to focus my TikTok following on Alabama. I'm like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
grow my following in my home state because these are the people who are going to come to my shows in Tuscaloosa and in Birmingham and in Mobile and in
Yeah.
Auburn and in Florence and in Huntsville. You know what I'm saying? And it can grow
Yeah.
organically from there instead of just having like hundreds of thousands of followers and not being able to sell tickets anywhere.
Yeah, that is no, that is a super. It's a really good piece of advice. Not even just to like musicians, but I think to anybody who is trying to. Because one of the questions I was going to like follow up with that was you're talking about sometimes you're playing a lot of shows and sometimes you are posting a lot of content, and maybe there's a mix of both. And I was going to kind of ask, like, do you find yourself trying to become known for one thing or just trying to be known as one thing? But then you kind of mentioned that I'm trying to just be known as this band, not really like just this band, but I'm trying to be known as a band in Alabama that you can go see. So, and I mean, does that feel like niching down some way of like I want to focus on just in Alabama because I can reach these people and versus I want to be the the band that only sings about this or only does this or the person who only posts about this or like you can post about anything you want to but you're wanting it to feel localized. Does that, I don't know, does that make, that might even be like a, that might not even be like the strategy you were doing, but like listening to that I was like, oh, there's like a, it seems like a very like purposeful way to go about something so that you're reaching the audience that you want to reach.
I mean, I think I understand then. Yeah, your question is kind of getting at what I'm saying here is that I don't really want to be known for this one thing, this one
Yeah.
sound, 15 seconds of my song. I've
Yeah.
known for a long time that my music probably isn't the kind of music that'll go viral, and that's okay because I want I want people to come see me in real life. That's really my
Hmm.
goal is
Yeah.
I want to play live shows. And it's happened a few times in the past few shows that I've played where, a band found me on TikTok and they booked me in Birmingham when they were moving through Birmingham. And then
Yeah.
a few people who came to the show were like, "Hey, I follow you on TikTok." And it's like, even if it's one or two people, it's like there's a show I wouldn't have played if not for TikTok. And there are a couple extra tickets that were sold because of TikTok. And it's just like, I really just want people to come to my shows because I feel like I
Hmm.
believe in the music. And I really don't have a problem with putting myself out there. I definitely have the mental gymnastics of the feeling afterwards where you feel very vulnerable. I'm sure you're familiar where you feel like everyone's standing in your living room after you post and you're like, "Oh god, I have to stand by what I said." And I don't know, I get anxious after I post.
Yeah.
But that doesn't prevent me from doing it. I just know how to sit
Hmm.
with the discomfort of it afterwards. And the more you sit with the discomfort of it afterwards, the better it feels because you get used to it and also you realize it doesn't matter. And I try to
Yeah.
tell myself like 60% of internet traffic is bots anyway, and they're just trying to incite hatred and violence. So I'm just going to ignore most of the negative comments and give the other
Yeah.
ones that are real people the benefit of the doubt if it upsets me, or I'm just not going to read them. And it's
Yeah.
like that's kind of how you have to get through it because regardless you have to post. And if you want people to come to your shows, you have to be out there because that's just the nature of the game. And I want to spread my music. It boils down to the music. And yeah, sure, I'm posting videos of me cooking. I'm posting whatever feels good that day.
Hmm.
And that's why it's kind of like people have told me like you need to pick something. And I'm like, no. The whole thing is it's Wanda. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's whatever I'm up to. And that's okay to me. Like I don't want to be that person who does that one video or like has to
Yeah.
elaborate on this one thing over and over again so that people remember their face. Like that's just not what I'm after. I'm not trying to like monetize videos. I'm trying to sell tickets. And so to sell tickets, you have to
Yeah.
connect with people on a real level.
No, yeah, I think that is like super good advice. Like I'm not a person trying to be known for music, but like I agree with the whole like again going back to like the Wanda Band, like you telling stories, like talking about things, like you're building like a brand of you, and even if you're not always the Wanda Band, if you move on and you form another band and change the name or whatever, like that it's the when you've built that tribe, so to speak, like people will follow you. The people who enjoy what you do and enjoy your personality, enjoy who you are, and enjoy hearing you talking about your like chicken biscuit or whatever it was that you got the other day for breakfast. Um, that's the kind of things that people like. I feel like kind of remember you for. Like, I don't. Do you know the band Dury?
Dury, are they, where are they from?
I have no
Okay.
idea
I'm
actually.
not sure.
I'm the reason I'm bringing that up is because they're like the first band that I can really think of that maybe they're the only one that I've ever really realized that like I discovered just from like TikTok, and they were sort of like it's like a guy and his sister. They're making music, and they literally went from like they're living with their parents still and started making like TikTok videos, and then they started like touring and they released an album and stuff like that. But I just think like, I haven't listened to them in a while. Maybe it's like people go through like phases, but it's like they're probably just like super busy. So now I'm thinking like, what is happening to them now? If I go back and find them and they're no longer in the band or they've moved on, like, did I like them enough to like follow? I wish I knew their names, but like follow him or follow his sister. Like maybe probably not because I don't, he's got a cool voice. I like him, but I don't really like know anything about him. So like you're like creating a personality and creating a, again, like a brand of Wanda, so to speak, that like people will follow you to another place or like be interested in you because you've taken the time to like be consistent and not just post the same 15 seconds of your song over and over, you know. to different whatever. I know that's like a tactic that a lot of musicians use, or just like pick part of their song and just make 1,000
And
videos
I
of
will
it.
say
But
that that works
yeah,
sometimes.
I saw like Little Nas X got like so
I'm
big was
saying,
like,
yeah, I mean, there's
you know,
no harm in doing that, and there's no shade to that, but I don't feel right about that. And as I told you earlier, I feel there's some discomfort with posting. And so
yeah,
I try to just make sure it feels good to me. And if it
yeah.
feels good, then I can sleep at night. Cuz there is this weird like voice in my head that's like, "Why do you do this?" That's like, "What are you even doing?" And I'm just like,
And
I
when you say why are you do this, you mean like why are you posting your life, or why are
yeah,
you just the whole thing?
why am
Just the
I
whole
on
thing. Okay.
social media? Why do I do this? And I'm
Yeah.
like, because it does feel weird because nobody's telling me to do this.
Yeah.
Literally, nobody is telling me to do this. I just do it. And I'm like, but I've been doing it for so long. It's almost just like a habit. I've been online since like 2005.
Yeah.
Like I was making YouTube videos when I was a kid. I was like directing my
Same
siblings.
here.
Right. It's like, I've always been posting and putting myself out there and trying to tell stories. And honestly, all I want to do is affect people the way that I've been affected. And there's like all of these um, inspirations to me, mostly YouTubers that I grew up watching and musicians. And one of them is Pomplamoose.
I love
Love
Pamplemousse.
Pomplamoose. Been a fan since day one. Been a fan of Jack Conti and Natalie Dawn since day one, and all of their friends and all of those musicians who make that content. Like I wanted to be just like them. And
Yeah.
I'm a member of Patreon because they are like, I trust them when it comes to like how horrible it has become for creatives on the internet and how it used to be better, because they were coming
Hmm.
up at this perfect time when you could monetize videos on YouTube and make a living, and like then their money went down to nothing. I'm sure you've seen the TED Talk. It's fascinating to watch the TED Talks that Jack has done specifically on why he created Patreon. And that's why I trust him, because I was there. I was watching his videos, and I was downloading things on iTunes. And that's when you could still own, like, people still tried to own audio files. And, like, this is when, Spotify was there coming in to rescue the music industry from everybody pirating music. And it's just like this very interesting moment in time. And we're in the after, and it's like it's been changing ever since.
Yeah. I'm a huge physical media collector, by the way,
Me too.
just so we get that out of the
Yeah,
way.
like
Yeah.
tapes and vinyl. What about you?
Um, pretty pretty good amount of vinyl and tapes too. My car has a tape player and a CD player, so I like to use both of those. Sometimes I'll buy an album online and I'll record it to a tape so I can put it in my car and listen to it on
Yes,
tape because I just think that's just so much
that's so
cooler.
cool.
But last year I spent like, I don't know, there's a lot of time and money like buying as many like movies and stuff, because I was like, I'm moving away from streaming as much as possible.
Love.
So I've picked up a pretty sizable DVD collection now. We have two DVD players now in the house that I also got from like a thrift store. So there's a lot of reimagining media.
That's cool.
But I want to ask about like Pomplamoose real quick, and what about them in particular? Like, were you saying like they inspired you to become a
Yes.
musician, or they were
And to
okay,
and
and
to be a
you so
content creator, I would say.
and to be a content creator? Well, can I talk or like ask you like how those two things? I mean, you've kind of like you've gone in and out of like how those two things collide, but I mean, is being a content creator the only way to be a musician like in this day and age?
No, I definitely would say no. I mean, it's not the
Okay.
only way. And that's very controversial. I I think
I want the controversial
I
take.
think you can. I think it would take. Okay, I'm gonna say yes and no. I'm gonna
Okay.
say that there's no cut and dry way to do it.
Yeah.
Look at Tosh Sultana, for example. Someone else posted Tosh Sultana. Someone
Oh,
else
okay.
posted Billy Strings.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
Like, these
Yeah.
people's talent is what sent them to the moon, right? And like, were they making content? Were they content creators? Absolutely not. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe they were making stuff, but like, they weren't locked in as a content creator the way that we would see them now in 2025. For sure not.
Hmm.
I think. I could be totally wrong. If you're huge fans of both of them, tell me the true story of how they rose to fame. But as far as I'm concerned, they both went viral from someone else posting them.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Mostly.
I
And they're
think,
playing all the time. That's
yeah.
why they weren't making content, is because they were always playing
Yeah.
out, playing live performances. I mean, I think if you're a musician, what you really, really need to do is perform. That's
Yeah.
what you need to do. You don't need to, like, here's the thing about posting your music online, because I've done it. I will sit there and I will play 30 seconds of a song until I feel like I got the take that I want, and then I'll pick the best 15 seconds of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't play the whole song. And how is that going to help you be a good performer? Imagine if that's the only way you post, and then one day you get signed and they want to send you on tour, and it's like you have to now play your entire song
Yeah.
without stopping in front of an audience of people that are all filming you, and you have to be engaging and charismatic. If you've never performed online, or I mean anywhere but online, good luck. Because it takes years and years of practice, and
Yeah.
years of flopping, and years of playing all of these different types of rooms, and figuring out how to ask for what you need at a sound check, how to be professional and memorable. Like, you have to put in your 10,000 hours playing, period. And yes, I think you can do that without using your phone.
I love that. I love the one, like the examples you brought up, because you're totally right. Like, I can't think, I'm sure there's plenty of musicians that I can think of now that are like, oh, I wouldn't have known about them, but somebody else, like, like you said, shared them. And then, like, you're right. You have to, like, do the thing. Like, you can't, because I didn't even really think about, like, I understand, like, how music goes, especially, like, I feel like I see a lot of guitar players online that's like they're putting like their best take, and it's very like compressed, and they've got everything on it, and it's like, if they had to go play live, like, it probably would sound similar, but maybe not as good. And, like, I mean, even like the stage presence part of it, that's a huge part too. Like, that's not something that you can get from just pretending like, setting up your tripod and your phone or whatever, and like just pretending. So it's the part of like doing it, and also be like putting it out and doing it in a place where people can actually like hear it. And this, I think this comes also just from like content creation in general. Like, we can be like physical and also like digital for a second, but like physically, like, you as a musician, you've got to be at the places, or be available to be at the places to show up and perform and actually do the thing. And there's also the side of, if you are a content creator, or if you're creating content for your music, you've also got to make sure that you are creating the things that people want to see. Even though, like, there's people want to see that, people are interested in your life no matter what it is. If it's you talking about your breakfast or whatever, like, people find that interesting. There's somebody out there that finds that interesting. So I think, like, you're like covering like, you're covering both sides of it, which you already said. Like, you have like ebbs and flows of performing and posting and kind of doing both. But, like, I don't know, it seems like if you were to sit down and like map out like a strategy of this, like, you've done a really good job of like doing the thing and showing up and performing in the right place in front of the right people, and also showing up digitally in the right place, and not trying to be too broad, trying to talk to somebody that actually wants to hear what you're saying. And like, I don't know, like, not putting yourself in a box so much as just being yourself, and creating things that people can engage with.
Yeah. I mean, I think that authenticity is kind of the root of everything I try to do. And my favorite creators are people who are authentic. And, I think that that's why it's been really refreshing the past few years, for a person who looks like me and is of the same like socioeconomic whatever, just like, I'm a gay woman, let's be honest. Like, and it's like, who's dominating the music industry right now? Gay women. It's a fantastic time to be a gay woman in music. It's amazing, and I feel like I could make it right now. Whereas in the past, it's kind of been like, I don't know, I'm pretty niche. It's lesbian music.
Yeah.
Now everybody listens to lesbian music, like it's kind of awesome. So it's a very interesting
Who?
time to be a person who's making music.
Yeah. No, that's so. When you're talking about, I don't know. I guess like what it's really interesting because you're like, I feel like in the last few years or like now is like my time. Um, and if you would have not started when you did, like you're like, it's easy for times to like go by. And I know that's like no one knows when to start, but like obviously, I mean, like if you started now, um, it wouldn't be too late, but it might be too late, and so to speak.
I don't
Like,
think it's ever
but
too
you,
late. I just think that it's really fun when you're a fan and you discover somebody and they have a huge
yeah,
web presence
presence,
and you can look back on
yeah,
like what do they call it, your digital footprint? And it's
yeah.
like you can see like there are videos of me at 16 vlogging on YouTube somewhere. I did not take them down. They're there somewhere if you want to go find them.
Yeah, I want to go
I'm
find them. That's the kind of
It's
stuff.
there. Like I used to do like a vlog on Wednesday called Wanda Wednesdays, and there were only a few videos,
Incredible.
but it's still there. So it's like, and there's like old video or old albums on my Bandcamp um that I recorded when I was 17 and 19, like entire albums I produced with my
Yeah.
freaking Rock Band USB microphone into my family's Mac. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you do have like the consistency of having posted for so long, it's like when you're a fan and you discover somebody, you can look back on like, oh my God, look at their backlog, look at their evolution. Like that's
Yeah.
so special to me instead of just like, oh, someone's new, hot and shiny, and they have 3 videos because they're backed by a label that pumped money into me
Mm,
seeing them and scrubbed
yeah.
everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like something very
Yeah.
organic about that. But I don't know. I wanted to say that I brought up the fact that I'm a lesbian in music because you were asking about authenticity. And my
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
brother had called me a couple years ago and he was like, "Wanda, you really need to lean into your queer identity." And I didn't think about it because I just feel like everyone knows. But he's like, "No, you really need to like lean into that because those are
Mm,
your people. Go help them discover you by like putting yourself out there more in that way." And
mhm.
so I took his advice and it's been really helpful.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because I like I understand how that identity, like, obviously that'll help you find, or it'll help people find you who are in the same space. Like, um, but why do you think that like leaning into, I don't know the right way to ask this because like obviously like leaning into an, I think there's definitely identities you could lean into that might be kind of negative. So I don't want to like, not all, but like is it part of is it part of like a is that like part of counterculture? Is it because you're in the South and that still feels a little taboo for some reason? Or
I mean, I'm sure there's a mix of a lot of different things. I mean, everyone has internalized homophobia, including gay people. So I've done my own unpacking of that. And I for sure think that his comment kind of took me aback because I was like, I feel like I'm pretty much out. But he was like, you could be a little more out. And I'm like, interesting.
yeah,
I will note that. And a
okay,
friend of mine, Liza Jane Ritchie, shout out Liza Jane. She's an artist, and she did a gallery at Low Mill that was like a queer art history gallery with her friend Erin, and they both like had um, art pieces in the exhibit. And he had curated some photos, like old historic photos of like queer people over the last few hundred years, I guess. Like photos
yeah,
and drawings and whatever. And anyway, I say that because they invited me to play music at their closing of their gallery at Low Mill. And we did a Sapphic Saturday, like a lesbian meetup, and I did a blast on TikTok. and it kind of went locally viral, and there were so many people there, and like people who'd never heard of me, and really new familiar or new faces that are now familiar because they're coming to all my shows. And
Yeah.
I just was able to like find people who really needed something like that in their life in Huntsville. And I think that creating that space, especially in Alabama, is really important because it doesn't really exist unless we make it. And so, as a person who identifies in that way, I want to create spaces where, well, first of all, everyone's welcome, but second of all, it's for queer people, and
Yeah.
that's why it exists. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
important to have those kinds of events and to facilitate them, I think.
So when your brother was like lean more into this, into your identity, into your true self, was it for you, was it creating more music that spoke to somebody who's gone through the same things that you have gone through? Or how do you think like him telling you that, like how did that transform how you went about like carrying yourself or creating?
I I mean, I definitely feel like all of my music has to do with that. So I didn't think he meant it so much in the art that I was creating, but I think he was
Hmm.
saying more so in like the content that I was creating, because he was telling me that I
Okay.
need to be able to find my audience. And he was explaining to me like, because you know he's got like a marketing degree or whatever, so he was like recently graduated and was just like on one. And he was like telling me like, you need to be like tagging all of your TikTok videos with your location in Alabama, so that like it goes on to people in Alabama's For You pages, and like you need to be talking about lesbian related things so that it ends up on lesbians' For You pages. And these people need to know about your music because they're going to come to your shows. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what he meant, where he was like, you need to
Okay.
like be making content for them so that they're the ones getting it.
Okay, I got you. So it was very much a like systematic approach, but also like leaning more into like I don't know who I don't think you've ever been afraid to like be who you truly are, but just like I think like all of us can experience like you said that anxiety of like posting or whatever. I think all of us in some way mask ourselves when putting ourselves
For
out
sure.
there. So yeah, so he had a very like he said he was fresh out of college. He's a marketer. I
Yes,
was like, marketers are the
he
worst,
was
aren't
trying
they?
to give me advice, and it was good advice because that's how I grew my following,
Yeah,
you know, and exceeded my goal. But I think that it took me a while to kind of like muster up the courage to even make content like that, just because I do think that it was a little bit vulnerable, and I think that I was
yeah,
worried about how people would see me. I'm gonna be honest. And I
mm,
had to overcome a lot of that and like not care, and unpack the reason why it felt weird to do that, because that is who I am.
mm,
And
yeah,
I think that leaning into it isn't a bad thing, and I don't think that it isolates anybody in my fan base who doesn't identify that way, because
yeah.
I, you know, recently had a piece of merch that said Wanda's girlfriend, and I sold it exclusively to like white people my parents' age, like couples. Like couples would buy the
Yeah.
shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like they're and they'd be like, "We're not lesbians, but we love you and we love this shirt." And it's like I'm not
Yeah.
like people aren't like afraid to like engage with my music or be identify in my fan base just because it's like lesbian music. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't I feel like it doesn't hurt me to like lean into that. And so I think that's
Yeah.
important to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I mean, listening to it, like I wouldn't identify it as that way. At least when I listen to it, I'm like, this is not what I think about. Like which also I just kind of listen to music to enjoy listening to it. I don't know. I don't always like dissect. So
Right, and I think that also comes into I mean, I'm not like there are only a couple songs that are like painfully from that point of view. Like very
yeah.
obviously from that point of view specifically. I feel like the rest of my songs are written from a very broad point of view because I'm trying to appeal to everybody, because it's really just about the emotion of it, and everybody can relate to an emotion. It doesn't have to be, you
Yeah.
don't have to have experienced it in the same way that I did. And I feel like my job as a writer is to be broad enough to where anybody could listen to my music and like it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
especially specific enough to where anybody who's queer gets it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so I'm towing that line a lot in my
Yeah.
lyricism.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a writer. Like I'm my title is content strategist, but I write 80 or 90% of my day. And I mean that's my philosophy too, is like something that is simple enough like to um I don't know, like understand even on like an emotional level. Like I think like this is one of the things that I try to push on, not push on people, but when I'm writing for somebody, I'm like, look, like we're gonna have to like get a little emotional with it. I know that you think that everybody's like buttoned up and wearing a tie and they've got their their like like slacks or whatever, but like everybody feels some sort of emotional something from. I mean, I was at like a seminar and somebody was telling me that like marketing negotiations or just like negotiations in business were more intense than they used to be. The people that work for the police that negotiate people like down from the ledge. I can't think of what the exact word of that is, but you know what I mean? Like in a self-harm situation. And they're like talking about how they're like business negotiations are way more heated and way more emotionally like driven than those situations. Because at that point, like that person who is about to jump off the ledge has already decided there's like nothing to lose. So the only person it's you trying to save them versus two people in a business negotiation, both sides had something to potentially lose or gain. So, and I know I'm sorry, I'm like pulling your music into like the boring world of B2B
It's
content
fine.
writing, but I just wanted to like, I've tried to like stay back so I don't like make it all about that. But I want like some people to hear like, just writing from perspective or just creating from perspective. I know that like not everybody that's a creator necessarily is like a writer, so to speak, but creating from a perspective that is simple, like you're vulnerable and simple enough that people can grasp it and understand and put their own like self into it. um is for some reason still incredibly like underutilized. Like I think like people overthink it in some ways, which I know like again we do that anyway. There's always a part of you that feels a little, or like me, like that feels like posting this or doing this thing is going to feel. I mean, there's still things that I like get afraid to like post on, like things like, oh, if somebody sees this, are they going to think that I'm weird or I have some view or something, like. And so I think like sometimes I'm going to be back into the state of like I just want to create something that I feel something about, and if I feel something about it and I put it in simple enough words or in a simple enough format, there's somebody else out there that will also like feel the same way.
100%. I think that it's, a really special thing when somebody can relate to what you've shared. And I
Yeah,
definitely live by the philosophy of you know, what you think other people are thinking is just what you think of yourself. And
yeah,
so whenever you remember that
absolutely.
and you remember you're just projecting all the time, everything's fine. No one's mad at you. Like, in fact, nobody's probably thinking about you, Wanda. I have to tell myself this
Yeah.
stuff. It's the only way. I'm like, because
Yeah.
it's really not about me. I don't know. Like, it's just,
No,
it's about the music.
that what you just, yeah, what you just said is like been a life changer for me. Cause I mean, I lived my entire life like thinking that like everybody's always mad at me all the time. And, and, like, I think I saw this like TikTok where this guy was like, how do you like live your life like not caring what people think? And like somebody stitched it and he was like, because I don't know what anybody else thinks. Like, I have no idea what anybody else is thinking about me right now, and I'm making other people look like they're mean when they're not. They're not thinking about me. They're not mad at me, but I'm just telling myself that they are. And now I think that they're mean and they're not.
Oh my God.
Like,
It's such a reframe is so powerful because when for me personally, I had to remember that the voice that's inside my head that's saying, "Oh, Trevor thinks you're weird. He he thinks that you're being so awkward right now." It's like almost like that narcissistic coworker that's like telling you everyone hates you, and it's like, why are you in my
yeah,
ear telling me these horrible things that aren't even true? Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, I have to like look at the voice inside my head like it really is just like somebody who's just trying to like psych me out. And I'm like, you're not even real. Shut up. I don't even have to listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I felt that this entire time. I'm like, Wanda thinks whatever I just said was like the stupidest
I
thing that she's ever
don't.
heard, and she's wondering
Just so you
like,
know, like, you know what I'm saying?
she's
Like, I'm thinking about how awkward I'm being and hoping. I hope he edits some of the stuff out. I'm kind of rambling. I've had too much coffee today. But at the same time, like, this is me being me. I'm authentic right now. I ramble, like, and I get very
yeah.
tangential. I'm like, that's fine. This is who I am. Oh no.
No, well, just so I mean, I hope that you end this feeling very well because the whole goal of this podcast is that I don't want to say anything the entire time, honestly. I want to ask a few questions that are so good that somebody like goes on a tangent and they spill all this wonderful advice and I take it for myself and go and like, steal everybody's secrets and also like post it and let everybody steal their secrets. So I think if I go back and I could probably look at like the transcript and like sometimes like AI will tell you like how many, I probably talked for like 45 seconds, I hope. And like all the rest of it was just like Wanda spilling a wonderful, amazing like tidbits of your life and, of advice for anybody out there. And like honestly, like I would talk to you for another like 2 hours, but like you're working on your bachelor's degree, so like I think your time is spent better than talking with me. But I do hope that you go away from this realizing that like you like made my whole day. It's super enjoyable. I was trying to look on Facebook to see if my brother and sister-in-law were watching the live stream, but I think they're probably still at work, so they'll have to watch the replay.
Next time. Yeah, I hope that they're watching now. Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Mallory and Tyler. Like if you want to shout them out real quick.
What's up, Mallory and Tyler? You're here at the Content Crowd, episode 26, a chat with Wanda. Thanks for being here. You're awesome.
Thank you. That was amazing. I'm probably gonna like sound clip that, and I'll take out where you've said their names, and I'll just put that at the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
Maybe I can get Fede to do that. I'll ask him if he can edit that. But no, this has been incredible. I know that we're coming up on time, and again, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Because I really thought like actually I was the only bottleneck in this whole thing because I asked you on TikTok and you immediately were like, yeah, email me. And then it took me like 4 weeks to email you. So I'm so glad that we found a time that this worked. And I'm going to ask again, like maybe if you start up the Wanda Band podcast again, I would love to ride around and drink too much coffee with you and talk about whatever.
Yes, I'm trying to find sponsorship for that. So it's just too
Okay.
much work on my own.
Yeah.
I did all of that on my own. So
Yeah, really? Okay.
all of it, every single bit of it. So I'm like, okay, I need help and support. And so now I feel like that I have 4 episodes. I can pitch it.
Yeah.
I don't know who to pitch it to. Someone who will give me money to do it. Hopefully soon. But and once
okay.
that happens, hit you up.
Okay, I'll be thinking about that. I'll be I'll start brainstorming some ideas. Not because I want to be on it, but because like finding a sponsorship for your podcast would be awesome. So there's got to be like, I mean, an angle of like, I don't know, like can you get like whatever coffee shop that you're like getting your coffee from that day, or like I don't know,
I was
local
also
Ford dealership,
thinking
like get the
that's
transit.
possible.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking the Huntsville City somehow. I think that they would potentially.
Well, yeah. Is there like a comedians in cars getting coffee like angle where like you're going to a certain place to do your actual
That
part of
was
your
the
interview?
inspiration for the podcast.
Okay.
The execution didn't reach that level because I did it all by myself.
Yeah.
However, I don't know. I know a couple people who made a podcast years ago, back in 2019, and they asked the city of Huntsville to give them money to do it, and they did. And I think they abandoned ship or something. So I'm like, I know that it's possible to get funding through the city of Huntsville, and you can make it like. So I feel like it somehow would go through the Department of Tourism, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I can also ask. I know this is the end of the episode. I will. I'll have to do another outro, but real quick, I can ask. I'm good friends with the people at Catalyst, which is the local entrepreneur center. I do like webinars for them every so often.
Mhm.
I'll ask them. I will reach out to my connect there and be like, "What's the like?" Maybe there's like a grant that they can help you because grants are part of their thing too. Maybe there's like a grant of some kind that can work with, and maybe it is through tourism, but maybe there's a way that all that can work out. But I will 100% reach out to them and be like, "How can we get this podcast sponsored, and how can and also can we do the first episode at the only Quiznos that still exist?" I think like I've been wanting to make a
Yes.
video going to the last Quiznos. I don't even know if it's really the last Quiznos, but I've been trying to get
Last
my
standing
friend.
Quiznos.
Yeah, I've been trying to get my friend to go with me, and he's like, he just had a baby, so he's a little bit out of he doesn't have enough time. But that's like I'm like, dude, there's got to be like a whole like fun video to make about like Quiznos and what happened and how culturally significant it was to me and most of us growing up.
There is
Just
a
because.
video. It's crazy you say this. I was thinking about it today. There's a guy on TikTok who breaks down businesses that failed and why they failed. I'll find it and send it to you.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, because I mean I feel like they just had such a good, unique spot in the market, and then I don't know what happened. But I would love to go to the Quiznos that is still there, and see if it's still as good. It probably isn't, but anyway, we will after this. We'll connect on how do we get sponsorships and how do we go schedule a date at Quiznos. Wanda, thank you so much for being here. I am super appreciative of you and your time, and also for you. You didn't willingly do this because I didn't tell you until you were already here and it was too late. But I sort of hoodwinked you into being in like this experimental episode where I was not asking a bunch of business questions, but instead just talking about the creativity and things that inspire me. And you are a big inspiration. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Trevor.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe who knows, maybe we can have a second episode later after after your podcast gets sponsored and is up and going. We will have another one. We'll debrief.
It'll happen.
Yeah.